Hello, welcome to Footprint. My name is Samuel Attah-Mensah. We started a very interesting conversation with Honorable Fritz Baffour only last week, and today we are here to continue and walk the path of his footprint to see how it goes. So welcome once again. We'll take a short break. When we come back, it will be Honorable Fritz Baffour. Welcome back to the program. It's Footprint. Honorable, thanks for your time again. So we'll just continue from our conversation early on. Now you are back in Ghana after, working in different countries. And you got back into Ghana at a rather difficult time.
Yes. 1985 was difficult. We just, I think, had the situation with the famine and the return
2 years earlier.
The return of the Ghanaians from Nigeria and all that.
That's the image I don't even want to see anywhere, man.
Yes, it was very, very difficult.
The whole process of Ghanaians coming back.
It was a difficult time for us, even in Liberia, basically because there were a lack of certain commodities in this
Liberia?
country. No, in Ghana. So, if you were coming, you had to come back with toilet rolls and things like that.
Yeah, from Liberia.
From Liberia, and soap, and there was a certain kind of soap which didn't have any brand on it. But a lot of people liked it because it was cheap. It was in rubber. And then I filled a whole suitcase and bring it.
But the Nigerians had Omo.
Omo, yes.
But there's a very deep blue Omo.
Yes.
And some of the returnees actually came carrying Omo and Fan.
Yes. And your big ghetto blasters. That was a big thing to have.
Yes, and the common brand was a brand called President.
President, yes, that's true. That's very true. Yeah.
Wow. Today we can laugh about some of these things,
very,
but
very
those
much
were
so,
some terrible times.
Yes.
Yeah.
So when I came in '85 and I tried to get a job, I worked for my dad for a while in his consultancy, and then he had the school, Sight and Sound, so I started teaching English. I love teaching, so I started teaching English. And then
so Sight and Sound in Adabraka?
Yeah, belonged to my dad.
Was a very popular school.
It was. Unfortunately, it didn't last too long after he died, but there are reasons for it. But I set up the business studies department, started teaching business studies and things like that, gleaned from my working experience and everything. And then in '87, I decided that, working with my dad was a little restrictive for the things I was doing because I was still doing part-time television programs. I had produced a couple of entertainment programs in Ghana.
At GBC?
Yeah, using GBC
facilities. Yeah.
And that was where we did F&F. I met Tommy when we were emceeing a program together, and then we realized that we could tell jokes. So we started the program with the help of a guy called, what was his name? John Owusu. He was a producer.
So you were recording F&F show?
Yeah, at that time we'd just gotten into color television in '85.
Yeah.
So, '86 we did it, and 7 programs, but it was an independent program, and we needed funds, so we only did 7 programs, but it became a hit.
And I still remember.
Yeah, people around that time remember, because we had one television station, and there was very little local content that was of interest, apart from AgriMag and the news and things like that. So we brought a certain innovation into television at the time, and became very popular. And
so yourself and Tommy and Forsen.
That's right.
Okay, and it cost you so much to
yes, my dad stepped in. He gave us some money, at least, to pay for the things that we did. I had George Darko on it. I had the great Bob Cole, an uncle of mine. He was on the program. A lot of great people came on the program, despite the fact that we were also parodying people by, I used to do my Idi Amin, rawlings and all that kind of thing. It was
still
good fun.
Remember those lines, Idi Amin, and the kind of things he used to do?
Thank you very much. It's very nice to meet you. And all that accent. I like accents. But so with that, I started full-time emceeing and doing stand-up comedy and everything. And I ended up in Nigeria. In 1988, I was in Nigeria.
As in relocate?
Relocating. I mean, the thing is that the jobs came in Nigeria.
Yeah.
And I would work maybe Friday, Saturday, Sunday. All right. And then, so what I did I would work Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday night flight. I'll come back to Ghana, stay till I've got another gig. But sometimes I had a gig.
So at this time you had Ghana Airways flying to Nigeria. And then Nigeria Airways also flying too.
So most of the time that my tickets were paid for by those who wanted me. I became a big star, I mean, the Nigerians liked it. I was new.
Yeah.
All right. So I became
refreshing.
Yeah, very, very popular. So in 1989, then 1988, 1989, I started 87, I think it was 87 September, I started Sincerely Yours.
Yes.
Okay.
That was the program.
Yeah, I started Sincerely Yours, and it was very difficult getting a camera. So I bought myself a Super VHS camera, which didn't give out the best, but at least, so I had to pick up the kind of things that would make people interested.
Yeah.
All right. And that means I was the first independent producer. So I bought time on the air, and I filled it with my program, the content.
So that was huge. That was Sincerely Yours was the kind of program we all looked
so
forward
in '88,
to.
when the Nigerians decided that there was the Hebrews, who owned the Sheraton, very wealthy family, decided that they wanted me to come in and be a consultant on some of their activities, the event manager and everything. So I was living at the Sheraton
in Lagos.
In Lagos, yeah, and I stayed in Nigeria for a year while I was coming back home to do myself. I'd Sincerely Yours. So I did Sincerely Yours from Nigeria, interviewing people in Nigeria, and I got the chance to go abroad to other places, because what I wanted Ghanaians to understand, the whole idea of Sincerely Yours was that it's like taking a Ghanaian somewhere, and the questions that the Ghanaian would want to ask about that particular place. That was the idea. So when I came back in 1989, that was when I met Jerry Rawlings after a long time, and we hit it off, and I decided that I'd do my best to help his cause. And as a result, I stayed. I stayed in Ghana.
Okay, and so then, from '89 when you came back.
So in 1990, I set up Tropical Vision Store, my production company.
You were in different countries.
Yes, I went. I went to Germany. I went to Switzerland. I did Ireland. I did England too. I did Great Britain too. I did America. I did the Caribbean. Then I did Zimbabwe. I did Rwanda. I did a little bit of Uganda. I did Kenya. And then I decided that Ghanaians didn't know enough about themselves. Let's say their chims live next door to their krapims, all right? And though they have links, they don't really know the history behind it. So I'd do something from Kibi or Chibi. I'd go to Akropong, and then I realized that there was so much content to be filmed in Ghana. So that's why I veered off from the international scene back to Ghana, and I went through the length and breadth of Ghana. And it was so exciting, and it made me love the country more.
Wow.
Honest to God, I went through an epiphany.
How are you funding it?
Oh, I had good sponsors. One of my major sponsors, Lufthansa, sponsored me. Tata, Yellow Cab, sponsored me. I had sponsors. I had people who were ready to sponsor me after a certain time. And one of my biggest sponsors was Wenko. Wenko
the
did
fertilizer.
Yes. Henry Winges was a friend of mine from way before, so he gave me a lot of support. And the final ones that I did, I went to Holland. I did a film on the linkages, the historical linkages between Holland, Suriname, and Ghana. So I had to go to all those places. And I was sponsored by the Dutch government.
Wow.
So it was a very exciting time. Hello, good evening, and welcome to this very, very special series of Sincerely Yours.
No place like Africa.
Itzeme, you are the curator for fashion and design in the Municipal Museum here in The Hague. Can you tell me exactly what the exhibition is going to consist of and what is going to happen?
Well, three aspects. First of all, the Vlisco designs, the wax print and the Jaffa print from Holland, which were made since, were transported to Ghana, first with soldiers from the Dutch Indies to Ghana when they returned to their country. Later on, when the Dutch Indies closed their special protective measurements to import Dutch materials, the Dutch thought of focusing on Ghana. And that happened after 1872.
On the quay of the River Zan in Zaandam, a little to the north of Amsterdam. And this area has got associations with Ghana because it is the cocoa processing center of Holland. I'm next to the plant of the Jan Schumacher company, which processes Ghanaian cocoa waste. I'll be going in to talk to one of the managing directors of the company. But this is a wonderful place. You've got windmills, you've got water, you've got barges, and the smell here is of cocoa. It reminds you of Ghana.
The whole depth of your programs and the richness of the program is something for us to emulate as if you like, new broadcasters.
That's right.
And so then you started Tropical Vision Storm.
Started doing documentaries. The emphasis was on documentaries.
Okay.
USAID. I did some documentaries for them. I did a lot of documentaries for the NDC. I did a lot of documentaries for various ministries. And
so which year did you start this company?
I started it in '87, but I registered it in 1990.
Okay.
1991.
Okay. All right.
So
now tell me, you seem to have had a relationship with Jerry Rawlings.
yes.
How did that come about?
Well, the thing is that I think Mrs. Sam, we had an idea of who Jerry Rawlings was. Then when we became guys in town, he was then an Air Force pilot, dashing Air Force pilot, and he was somebody we looked at and looked up to. All right. But then when the political thing started, I was a little taken aback because I'd come from this Labour Party, Human Rights Watch thing, and so I was a little reluctant.
Yeah.
But I met Nana, Mrs. Rawlings, and she, from childhood. So she said, "Oh, come and see me in my office." So I went and I sat down with her, and I found out she'd done a great job with the women's movement in the country.
Yeah, 31st December.
Excellent. And I was wondering why she hadn't publicized it as she should. So we talked, and then she said, "Oh, so do you want to?" Said, "You have to see Jerry." So she booked an appointment for me. I saw him, and we hit it off. Sense of humor, the old days and things like that. And great relationship. I learned a lot from him. He became like my big brother.
Wow.
I have a different angle from what a lot of people say because I saw him as a human being. And he showed incredible qualities.
At the time?
Even now.
No, what I'm saying
at the time, because everybody thought he was this stern, brooding figure, all right, who would explode at any time. When I saw a human side to him, he was very kind, very supporting, very understanding. I saw things that were not, they weren't telegraphed. It wasn't as if he was acting. I saw the passion that he had and the way he dealt with people naturally. So we hit it off.
So what specifically were you doing for him?
Well, I hung around him a bit. If there was anything to be done. And when we decided to start the NDC, I put my event management skills to play, organizing the rallies, ensuring, coordinating the press, making sure that adverts were made and all that kind of thing.
So at which point did you start producing documentaries for the party?
Right from the start, in 1992. Yeah, I was filming. I mean, I'd follow him and film everything that I thought was interesting. And then I'd go into the studio and put something together and show it to him first before, taking it out. So that was what I did. And naturally, I started getting politicized in a certain way. All right. And it ended up with me going in as an activist, as a member of parliament. So,
yeah. But whilst you were engaged with the rawlings, who were some of the other names that you got to know and worked with?
Well, the very funny thing is that most of the guys around the rawlings were people I knew before I even joined I knew the Ahoys. I knew all of them. I was in Prempeh College. When I was in Prempeh College, Kwesi was in Form 4, and Atu was in Upper 6. All right. I knew Pivio being from Tech. When he was in Opokuwari, I knew him. People, most of them I knew one way or the other. And also a lot of the guys who were in Tech, because of my dad, I got to know some of them. And I mean, I was a guy around town. So. Kofi Totobi-Kwachi, for example, he'd come down during the holidays to live with his uncle, Mr. Davis, who worked for Briscoe in Kolegono. I met him there. I mean, when we talk about the guys, I know so many of them. The names are now even snarled up in my head.
So it made your role quite familiar.
Yes,
right?
it did.
You know?
Yeah.
But what did you think at the time about the structure of government?
Well, the thing is that mine was the time I started working for the rawlings informally. It was the PNDC.
Yeah.
And so therefore the country was a little unified. All right. We had a few people who dissented, but not open dissension. So certain things were done as quickly as possible. If it was a good idea and it was going through, you could get it done. Then in 1992, it was still the same because in the election, the opposition at the time boycotted the parliamentary election.
Yeah.
So,
and at this time, parliamentary election was 1 week spaced out from the president.
Yes. So,
presidential.
And my thing is, I've always believed in Ghana. I know right now there's a statement saying Ghana first, but in reality, that is me. Ghana first. This country is a great country.
Yeah,
and it's got great people. But we need to harness our resources properly.
But you think we went wrong somewhere,
yeah,
or we could have done things better?
Far better, yes. I think we're not disciplined enough. You see, Ghanaians, basically, I think it's because of the slave trade. All right, we cock a snook at authority if we can. You understand? It's only when you beat us with a wooden stick that we adhere to some of the... but we have to create a system or create systems that we appreciate and know that if we follow that system or we adhere to that system, then we will get results.
You think we are indisciplined?
We are indisciplined.
Still?
Yeah.
At all levels?
At all levels, yeah. We take things for granted. You know, when we talk about our manifestos and everything, I'm not going to talk about specifics. Yes, the ideas are good, but it's not about the ideas. It's about us. Now it is about us. And political parties do not talk about us anymore because they believe that we are supposed to vote for them. So they cannot take us to task. And it's about time Ghanaians took themselves to task about the way they behave and the way they do things. You're seeing it yourself.
Yeah.
All right, let me give you an example. I live in Kolegono. All right. One of the biggest expanses of beach where you can see the sea is between Lavender Hill and the lighthouse. Okay. Now you can't see the sea because they've moved people from the old harbor and they're now selling along the beachfront. Nothing wrong with it because we have poverty in our country and we have ways of dealing with the elevation of poverty and all that. But if we had put a system into place using, let's say, the architectural students in tech, saying that, look, we're going to move these people, all right? We're going to put them on the beach, but let's do something that is iconic, so that they may have stores that have been designed by our students. We know how to do it, so it's done well.
Yeah.
But right now, it's a ramshackle affair. Another slum is being created.
Yeah.
You understand? I'm just giving you an example of how we do things.
I'm with you on that.
You see?
With you on that.
We are not thorough anymore because we want instant results. And sometimes, you've got to bite your lip and work, and say, hold on, let's do this thing right so that we can benefit, everybody benefits. When you're coming down from Lavender Hill to the lighthouse, people actually dry fish on the pavements and the median.
True.
All right? Fish. I mean, for human consumption. And there's nobody to say you can't do that. You understand where I'm coming from?
I do.
And these things are not about the political party. It's not about the NPP or the NDC. It's about us.
Yeah.
How you know very well that what you're doing is wrong. If you don't know, there should be somebody to tell you that you can't do this. Because when people eat this thing, they die. And then we'll get up and say some old lady in the village has killed the person because we're doing terrible things to ourselves.
You're passionate about Ghana.
Very, very passionate. Very, very passionate. Because, look, 1957 to even when I left in 1972, Ghana was a place of heroes. People who were working to make this country. And people looked at us as very special people. Ghanaians, they're great. Africa, everywhere I went. Oh, you're from Ghana, great place.
Yeah. You think Ghana is still a great place?
Ghana, well, it's still got the same. It's
Potential.
the potential.
Yeah.
That is the word.
Yeah.
The potential is there.
I will come back to you after this break.
Yes.
I am concerned about two things.
Yeah.
One, you have mentioned being a media person. I am concerned about the issue of discipline, which you have addressed. And the other issue, which I consider even more dangerous, is the use of ethnicity as a weapon. We'll be right back.
City TV is live on DSTV. Go to channel 363. On GoTV, access City TV on channel 182. On a digital TV, please press the menu button on the remote control and run a news search on your TV. Take note that without an antenna, you cannot access City TV on your television. City TV can be accessed on a free-to-air digital box like the GoTV and StarTimes box. City TV, it's your world.
Welcome back to the program. This is Footprints with Honorable Fritz Baffour. Honorable, we were talking about Ghana and your passion for Ghana. And really, from where I sit and having seen you at least in the last 2 decades and a bit, you've shown everywhere that this is somebody who's very passionate about Ghana. But my worry, as I said before we went off, is the spate of reference to ethnicity now, where is us versus them. When we were growing up, you didn't care who was from where.
Because that's the reality. The reality is not ethnicity. Somebody says, I'm an Ashanti. It's not by blood. If we do a DNA, you find that person is not, if he says he's an Ashanti pair. Mm-hmm. Ashanti is a system of governance.
Yeah.
There were various systems of ruling that were particular to certain areas. Yeah. You understand? And so if it's about that, then it's stupid to say to follow any form of ethnicity. Because I can't see any Ghanaian now who can say he's a pure blood from somewhere. Because even if we look at the antecedents of the various tribes, they came from somewhere
Different
and they
places,
interacted. There's interbreeding. And Ghanaians by nature are exogamous. You understand? We marry out. Our clan system, you marry out. You don't marry within your clan. I think there are only 2 clans that you can marry within officially. But in reality, you marry out. And you find out that in our history and our traditions and everything, it's about somebody who has left the village to go and look for a wife, and then he settles somewhere and starts. So that is the essence. So in reality, you see what I mean? We have the makings of a nation that can become homogeneous in a certain way, knowing that there are interlinkages.
One people.
One people. So anybody who does that, you see what I mean, is daft. And when I see people doing that, it hurts. You see, because I know my antecedents. All right? I know my antecedents. I know that I come from all places, and I know my relatives there. People say, oh, well, for you, I'm related to everybody. It's because I have made it a point to know where I come from, who my close relations are, and all that. And they come from all over Ghana. And then now, as we are, all right, my children... My children are married to people from different countries and different areas and things like that. You can't sit down and say one ethnic group is superior to the other. No. The greatness of Ashanti is that it was a larger system, and it was based on a system of governance that the apex was the Asantini. All right. Now, we have a lot of autochthonous groups in Ghana that didn't have even chiefs. It was clan heads and things like that. And they intermarried. The Asantini himself, all right, has Denchira lineage, all right, and other places. I mean, I'm only citing him because that's the largest
single
polity. You see? And the Gans themselves, I mean, the language that we speak, that we say is Ga, is virtually a patois. Because the original form is the Dangme that is spoken. Ga has got too many inflections from outside. Portuguese, Akan, Guan, whatever.
The Dangme?
Yeah, the Dangme is a purer form of the language. Because if you go back and you read the Ga tracks from way back, you find it closer to Dangme.
Before the Wolome.
Yes. No, I mean the Ga tracks written by people like Reindorf and the others who tried to translate the Bible, you find out that the language is more similar to Dangme than the Ga. Because Ga, this was a port. And in London, Cockney is Cockney is a patois. You understand? So these are the things that we have to take into consideration and talk about the things that unite us rather than things that divide us, which I know is a cliche. You understand? But ethnicity doesn't make sense at all under any circumstances.
I find it very dangerous.
Yes.
Very dangerous.
Yes.
I mean, it's most African countries that have gone the way of war or internal strife would have done that on the basis of senseless
I was in
ethnicity.
Rwanda. I was in Rwanda, covered the war. And the sad thing is that Rwanda is one of the few African countries with one language. They don't have different tribal languages. They all, both the Hutu, the so-called Hutu and the so-called Tutsi, speak one language.
Same language.
You understand? And in actual fact, if you look at the DNA, you find out that there is no tribe called the Tutsis in reality, because the intermarriage was there. You understand? Yes, years back, tall people will come and mix with shorter people, and then what have you. You understand? Somebody was talking about, the Ashanti. I said, no. Have you come across any forest people who are tall? It doesn't make sense. You see, biology, anthropology doesn't allow you to live in a forest and be 6 foot tall. You're living on the undergrowth. You understand? Yes, when you start cutting the forest down and mixing with people who come from the savannah, who are taller basically because they eat bigger animals like cattle and things like that, yes, it will change. And that's what happens.
Oh, the forest people, they eat kusie.
Oh, it doesn't really matter. But can you, a giant like you, would you be in the forest and would be happy Even climbing a tree, you'd break down the trees.
Not anymore, man.
No, it's changed. That's what I'm saying. You cannot actually categorize people or put them in a particular category. We're all the same. And the thing is, we were heading there to this being a Ghanaian very fast, all along. All
Fritz,
of a sudden,
I mean, reason I'm bringing this up is I think people like yourselves can still make impact along these lines of trying to get Ghanaians to think the oneness of being a Ghanaian, rather than today Fanti, we the Fanti people. I mean, look, I met a politician who said to me, I hear you support this person.
Yeah.
I said, yes. He said, but he's not a Fanti. I said, yes. He said, but Fanti people too, we have to do this. And strangely enough, I meet another guy. I hear you are in this person's camp. I said, yes. I'm like, okay, but I don't get the context.
Well, you see, some of it is something that happens in every society. In Britain, you have the people from Lancashire fighting the Yorkshire people, and but it doesn't become morbid.
Yeah, but the thing is that it hasn't taken over the very structures
of the society.
But here, it looks like that comes first, and nothing else matters. But I'm saying that, look at me, young boy, class 1. I still remember the names of the people that I went to primary school with.
That's true.
From Baba Al-Hassan, Philip Adadevo, Koku Hoji. I still mention their names. And at the time, nobody cared where whoever came from.
Because we were working towards a common Ghana. And somewhere along the line, when we became politicians, and something happened, I'll tell you something. When we started having places where the so-called world banks, all right, and people realized that they had to identify with the people of that area in order to win their seats. Because if, for instance, you come from the Volta region and you're going to stand for the NDC and you win in certain places, there's no way you're not going to become the MP. And it's the same thing in Ashanti. But basically, the two regions are the most diverse regions in terms of the blood stock of the people. You understand that it doesn't make sense. All right, and I think politicians have used that to their advantage, and I think that we really have to do something about it.
Anyway, so that was a digression, but a good one. So at which point did you decide to now enter into full-time politics, if I may put it that way?
It's sad, but it's a very trite thing. When the NDC lost power in 2000, I realized it was becoming very difficult for me to do my work. People started looking at you from a political angle, and therefore I was left. I mean, it was very difficult.
Because then you're doing more production, TV production,
and at a certain
for the
time,
government.
I just finished a whole series of Sincerely Yours, and at the time, the broadcasting hierarchy said there was no way I was going to. I had the money and everything, so there was no way we're going to show you. I said, why? They didn't give me a reason, so I had to stop Sincerely Yours. I must admit that I went to see Jake, I went to see others and said, look, I've got this program, and I thought that was going to be one of the best programs because it was Sincerely Yours, Beyond the Main Road. That means that you're passing by Legon. A lot of people pass by Legon, but don't know what happens in Legon. So I went into Legon and I did a complete program on Legon, how you enter, the history of Legon. I talked to the Vice Chancellor, I talked to the Registrar. You pass by in Sawam when you're going to Kumasi. And a lot of people don't know that Nsawam was once a major trading center. And that people used to actually go there to buy bread because the first real industrial bakery was in Nsawam.
Yeah.
These little things make us then feel that is what I wanted to do. And they turned me down. So I had this program, couldn't show it. Then I did some work for the government. And the purposes of which it was done was also, it was successful. And they said they would give me another contract. And I didn't get it. So I just sat down and I said, no, it is wrong that because of your political leanings, you'll be made hungry or you'll be restricted from advancing. So I said, I'll do my damnedest best to get rid of that government so that we could do something different. All right. So I decided to stand. It was very difficult. What you're saying is true. When I was going to stand in my area, I had people who said I wasn't a Ghan. And that, I wasn't a Ghan. I wasn't even NDC and all that. Because, and the most ridiculous thing, because my mother's brother was then the chief of Jamestown. And Jamestown, and Kolegona is part of Jamestown.
I remember New Hope School.
Yes, New Hope School, yes. Nico Joababio. That's my mother's elder brother. You understand? So even if I wasn't a full Ghan, I had strong, and I'd lived in Kolegona, I was born there. That's an example.
Yeah.
But then, I realized that going into politics for change is a very slow process. You can't get things done immediately. It's a matter of consultation, it's a matter of taking your time, the process of getting the laws and getting things done. Yes, you will run in and make sure that a bridge is built because it's been planned already. But these things do not change things. And I realized that what I was doing before, Sincerely Yours and doing comedy and doing things in entertainment, all right, could change perceptions faster than in politics.
Policy, yeah. You're right.
So that is why one of the reasons I realized that sitting in Parliament, yes, we'll be doing great things, but they were too slow for me. So I realized if I write a book, impactful. If I do a film, impactful. Those are the kind of things that would help me follow my passion.
Right. So which year did you do this? Going to politics?
I went to politics in 2000. I won my primaries in 2007. So I was the 2008 elections. I was a victor. Then I stayed on till 2016. So I did 2 terms.
Oh, you did 2 terms for Ablekuma
South, yes.
Ablekuma South.
The first time Ablekuma South was even larger. It went all the way to Dansoman and beyond.
Okay. So this is when you took over from Teresa Tego?
Teresa Tego, yes.
Was she your friend?
Very good friend. Very, very good friend.
Because I remember at the time you were doing Sight and Sound.
Yes. She was doing Agence
She was doing Agence d'Or.
So I used to go and give lectures at Agence d'Or. All right. And I would spend my Fridays having a drink with her. But I'd known her because her brother, Abe Tego, of blessed memory, was in tech and he played in the band, The Human Beings, and he was a great friend of mine. So, and then Teresa used to come to Jake's house.
Yes.
Along with the present president. So we got to know each other. So when I was standing, I realized that there's one thing I will not do. I will not stand on a platform and insult.
No, it's not your nature.
No.
Yeah. So I'm trying to see the kind of experiences you had. Your first appearance in Parliament.
Oh, it was unbelievable.
I mean, you were a loud voice outside of Parliament, and then you get into Parliament.
I got into Parliament, and I was muted because I realized that I didn't know half the things that they were doing. I mean, you have to have some experience to start playing that role in the chamber, to be able to get up to speak. You've got to know the system and everything. Look, I mean, that is why.
So, what were you taught?
you self-taught and you've got to listen to people. And I went to people like Alban Bagbin. I talked to Ben Kumbo. Ben Kumbo was with me, but these were people who knew the system. All right. E.T. Mensah, fantastic teacher. When you sat with him, it was good. You know, across the row, across the carpet, you had a lot of very brilliant people. Akutu Say, for example, he's a subliminal MP, one of the best MPs you could get. Oh yes, he knows his stuff. He's sensible about it. Papa Uso Nkrumah was magic. You understand? And so you learned. And the funny thing is that when in Parliament, we became very good friends. In fact, most of my best friends were from the other side. You know, people like Joe Apia, who was my neighbor.
Oh, the other
Ablikuma North was a very good friend. Is a very good friend of mine to this day. I made friends that I've made for life. You know, Albert Abongo from Bongo, great brother of mine. You know, I learned from them, and they tell you to be patient. And that is when you realize that you have limitations. Because the process is a process. It's a slow process.
It was a whole new world.
A whole new world. Very exciting. But then outside, the perception of people outside to who that you were you were an engine for development was the problem. Okay. And then the fact that we showed some kind of material gain. You're riding in a Land Cruiser. You're dressed in the best robes when you're on the Parliament. People then think that you have something, and you are the first port of call when they are dealing with the government issue, because you are the one who lives in their constituency.
That's true.
You understand?
And people used to come to you with all sorts of demands.
Yes, then sometimes you become frustrated. Sometimes you lose your temper because you're a human being.
What kind of demands would you?
Oh, school fees, hospital bills.
Well, that's logical, because you promise them schooling, you promise them good health.
For good health is to ensure that I'd rather fund the hospital or the medical centers. I'd rather give desks to the schools and things like that. That was my approach. The individual thing, you can't. All right? If 70,000 people vote for you, you can't look after all their interests like that. You've got to look at the collective interest. And that is the problem. Okay? But the funny thing is that in order to get voted in, you have to have a cabal of people around you who will work for you, who are loyalists. And the expectations are different. All right? Because he's worked for you and there are cars going for free somewhere, you have to get in that car. You know, if there are scholarships going, you've got to get in that scholarship. That is something that sometimes makes it very difficult. And then when you can't do it, then you become an enemy.
But isn't that what a lot of the parliamentarians sell in order to garner the votes?
I'll be dishonest if I say that isn't, there are indications that happens. But it is difficult in our cultural milieu, all right, not to do so. You see, because they equate an MP with a chief.
Okay.
You know, the way the
leadership structure.
Yes.
Traditional African leadership.
Yes,
and then
that's right. So, but ours is a little more secular.
That's true.
You understand? And so therefore, the Center for Civic Education had its work cut out, but it's never been funded. All right? The Center for Civic Education should be doing programs on television, commissioning programs and things like that based on history and all that. It doesn't have the resources. We don't have a single institution that is actually working for the homogeneity of this country.
I mean, politicians in out have destroyed some of these institutions, such as the civic NCC you talk about. The other day, our people were talking about PWD and the likes. I mean, we destroyed the thing here. The work that has to be done by PWD is given to a private person who will charge more and end up using...
Basically because if you are a loyalist to somebody who's become very powerful, And then he tells you, what do you want to do so that I can help you? So then he says, oh, let's work on this. There's a contract going out there and all that. Again, it's give and take. And it's something that, as I said, it's us.
Yeah,
we have got to start looking at our demons and expelling them. It's not going to be manifestos.
Yeah.
It's not going to be those policies. Because what don't we have in Ghana? What systems haven't we put in place in Ghana?
Well, so this is Honorable Fritz Baffour talking. It's us. On the other side is leadership. This is still Footprint. We'll take a short break. We'll be right back.
This is Fact Finder from the BBC.
We live in a world where news travels fast, and sometimes it's hard to differentiate fact from fiction. Fact Finder brings fact-checking from the newsroom up close so you can separate truth from chaff. Be empowered to tell what's fake from what's real. Watch Fact Finder by the BBC on City TV every Wednesday at 6 p.m. City TV. It's your world.
Welcome back to the program. This is Footprint with Honorable Fritz Baffour. Honorable, you were in Parliament for 2 terms.
Yes.
Did you get tired?
Not really. Towards the end of the first term, I was the Minister for Information.
That's correct.
Which was not easy from my point of view, because you were a minister in our government manages on behalf of the presidency. And when I was the Minister of Information, one of my greatest ambitions was to get a national radio station. You know, right now we use FM stations, and I wanted a short wave, medium wave, long wave radio station like BBC, Voice of America. Couldn't get it done. Not because it was unwilling, but there were too many interests in order for me to put it together as a package.
Yeah.
So when I left, my second term was a glorious term for me. I enjoyed it immensely because I was made chairman of the Defense and Interior Select Committee in Parliament. And I'm a wannabe soldier. I wanted to be a soldier at a certain time of my life. My father was very keen on military history, so I'm very keen on the military. If you come to my house, you'll find books on the military and all that. I'm very keen on that. And I have a lot of friends from school, relatives who are in the military. And so I'm a member of, even before I went into Parliament, I was a member of almost all the messes in the military and great friends in the military. So I enjoyed that. I could relate to them, and we could talk and we could discuss things, and I got to know the intricacies of the military and what they needed, budgetary requirements and things like that. And I think that with that you could whisper to the president, you know, you could ensure that the members of your committee would work towards something. And I enjoyed that immensely, and I traveled to a lot of the operations all over, the peacekeeping operations. I was in Lebanon, I was in Mali, I was in South Sudan, and I'd already done work with the military in Rwanda and Liberia. So it was very fascinating for me, and I worked very hard. I mean, meeting policemen who I would talk to and get to understand, because you had to deal with all those kind of things, the Secret Service, drug enforcement, all that, which is something that I really enjoyed. But not that I was tired, but I just realized that I wasn't
Were you
extending
conflicted?
myself.
Were you conflicted?
No, I wasn't too conflicted. As a parliamentarian, no. Being a member of a party, you can't be conflicted. I mean,
in terms of the values that are your personal values.
No, my personal values. My personal values. There are people who were just the same as me, who were doing their work and all that. But my personal values, it was about my horizons. that am I being honest to myself? All right, it's not a conflict, but was I being honest to myself that I was achieving something that I really wanted to do?
Well, you're a diplomat too, so just keep going.
No, seriously.
Yeah. So eventually you chose not to contest again.
That was, in fact, after my first term, I told them I'd go one more term and then I would leave. Because there are a lot of things I like to do. Yeah. I like to teach, I like to, since I left, I've been to Zambia, I've been to Malawi, I've been to Botswana for the American Defense University to talk about defense and politics and parliamentary rules and regulations and things like that. On one occasion, I went to the Parliamentary Institute there to teach on communicating and things like that. I love that. I've been to Nigeria, the Hebrew University. I gave the keynote address for the starting of the Hebrew Foundation and things like that. I like those kind of things. Because if you speak well and you've done your research, it's more impactful. All right.
Okay, so tell me, so eventually Honorable Okovandapoi took over from you,
yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Is he your friend?
I don't want to. I'll get into trouble if I say. Okovandapoi happens to be my cousin.
Oh, he's your cousin?
Yes.
You're all connected to one another.
And Okovandapoi himself has got almost the same antecedents as I have.
In terms of?
His mother is from Elmina. His father is a Ghana.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm trying to say? Yeah. I mean, he has that. And I've got this Elmina Accra connection too, despite the other variations and things like that. He's my friend. I have a lot of time for him. He has a different approach. He's more gung-ho than I am. What
does that mean?
That means he's more direct than I am. And it's because of the years
he's
he had
an
as a mayor.
person.
He is.
I think that's what I noticed about him.
You see, he doesn't mince words.
Yeah. At times he's so honest, you may be fooled into thinking he's naive.
No, he's not naive. He's not naive. I mean, he was a teacher here. He's a very clever, very sharp cookie.
Wow. Kudos to him. So eventually you had to leave Parliament in after 2016?
2016, yes.
So how has life been after Parliament? You did you played some roles in movies.
Yes,
acting.
I acted before I went to Parliament.
Of course,
I did 4 movies. Yeah. Then while I was in Parliament, my niece, Nicole Amatefio, was doing a program, did this film, The African City, and I had to play a role. I was coerced by her. Uncle Fritz, you've got to do it. So I played a role in that. Then I went to Nigeria and did a film called Madam President, which was shown by DSTV. I wish they would release it for people to see. It was a beautiful film. As I said, I also worked with my great friend King Ampao, whom I love very much. He's my hero and a very good friend. And so I'm open. In fact, a friend of mine called me and said he wants me to help him with a film in Nigeria. Another one has called me in Zambia, and I'm contemplating. It's all fun. I love acting. I really love acting. Yeah.
So what in the main has occupied your time?
Writing my book. As I told you, I'm trying to write a book about Ghana. It's not It's not a autobiography, because it's about Ghana in denial. I think that.
What does that mean?
We are in denial. I mean, the thing is that what is good for us, we turn our back on it. All right. I mean, why would anybody get up at 8 o'clock go out at 8 o'clock in the night, all right, and scream in church till 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, all right, waking everybody up or keeping everybody up awake, and expect that in the morning that person will be productive? Both ways.
So is it screaming or the keeping people awake?
Both. You are screaming. You are expected to go to work the next day.
Well, but you can lock your door and scream.
But then you go out, you keep people awake. All right.
Don't keep anybody awake.
That's what I'm saying. You keep people awake because your churches are making a lot of noise.
No, I mean, those are religious preferences.
No, I'm
but
not.
I'm just,
Isn't it noisy? If you are living in your quiet neighborhood and somebody sets up a church and starts, it's breaking the law.
I agree with you. I'm just saying that the Muslims do their announcement at dawn. It's noisy.
15 minutes.
No, but it's noisy. You never know. It's noisy, it's noisy, it's noisy.
15 minutes.
So I'm just saying that if it disturbs somebody else, that's a problem.
Yeah.
But the fact that the person is shouting in the confines of their room.
No, I don't mind that. I'm just talking about the churches.
After David in the Bible.
Yeah.
Because he says that by the reason of the voice of my groanings,
yes,
my bones cling to my skin.
The bones cling to his skin, and that's why he went and got small girls to come and lie by him to stitch his bones together. God, give me that.
And that's why God says that David is a man after my own heart. Honorable Fritz, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure talking to you. It's been long in coming, but it happened.
Right.
And I'm sure viewers would agree with me. It's been wonderful talking to Honorable Fritz Baffour.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for joining us. This has been Footprints. My name is Samuel Attah-Mensah. See you next time.